Marybeth was a farm girl the whole town knew, but not in the way she wished. She was the big-bodied daughter of Jacob and Ellen Carter, who owned acres of cornfields, wheat patches, and a rustic red barn that sat on the hill like a scar of old America. To the bullies in town, she was simply the fat farm girl. Her round cheeks, the dirt under her fingernails from working the land, the way her jeans were always torn at the knees from laboring instead of lounging like the other teenagers. All of it made her a target. At school they mocked her weight. At the market they whispered when she came with her father's old pickup. Even when she walked down her own gravel driveway, some kids would dare to throw stones or shout names, testing how far they could go before her dogs barked them away. But Marybeth wasn't the helpless girl they thought she was. From the outside, she seemed shy, quiet, and buried in the rhythm of farm life, but behind the weathered walls of the farmhouse was a secret. Her uncle, no ordinary man, was a retired Green Beret Sniper. After returning from years of dangerous missions overseas, he had chosen the quiet farm as his refuge, living in a small cabin at the edge of the Carter property. And while the bullies laughed at her clumsy walk or mocked her body, Uncle Tom saw something different. He saw raw endurance in the girl who carried hay bales bigger than herself. He saw sharp eyes in the girl who could spot a coyote prowling the fields at dusk. And more than anything, he saw someone worthy of the skills he once carried in war. So away from curious eyes, in the breaking light of dawn and the silent hours past midnight, Uncle Tom trained Marybeth. He didn't train her like some pampered student. He trained her the way the military broke soldiers down and built them back up. She ran through the mud with weighted packs until her lungs screamed. She crawled under barbed wire he strung across the far pasture, learning to stay low and move silently. He taught her to track footprints on soft earth, to recognize the difference between a deer's trail and a human's. She learned to climb ropes, to swim in the cold pond until her body was numb, to shoot a rifle with steady breath until the bull's eye was more familiar than her own reflection. And though her body was large, she grew fast, agile, her strength like iron hidden beneath soft curves. Uncle Tom reminded her again and again, size doesn't matter when you know how to move. Control the ground, control the weapon, control the fight. Still, Marybeth never flaunted what she had learned. At school, she endured the cruelty. In town, she lowered her eyes. She let them believe she was nothing but the fat farm girl. Until one autumn evening, when the bullies went too far. It started with 3 boys from her high school. Blake, the football captain, tall with arrogance dripping from every muscle. His sidekicks, Trevor and Mike, were no better. Boys who had grown up spoiled, never working a real day, thinking their father's money gave them the right to humiliate anyone weaker. They hated Marybeth most because she never fought back. To them, her silence was permission. They came down the dirt road with their shiny truck, tires spitting gravel, music blasting, and pulled up to the fence by her family's land. Marybeth was hauling feed sacks to the barn when they leaned out the windows, laughing. "Hey, cowgirl," Blake shouted. "Don't you got a pen to stay in?" Trevor made mooing sounds while Mike took out his phone, recording. They jumped out, swaggering across her driveway. She stayed still, clutching the heavy sack on her shoulder, pretending not to care. But then they crossed the line. Blake grabbed one of her family's chickens and tossed it into the air. The poor bird squawked, wings flapping desperately before hitting the ground. Marybeth's heart clenched. That wasn't just a chicken. It was her responsibility, part of the farm she loved. She warned them, "Put it down. This is our land." They only laughed louder. "What are you going to do, sit on us?" Trevor sneered. That moment, something inside Marybeth stirred. She thought of Uncle Tom's words echoing in her memory. "You don't start fights, but you finish them if you must. Protect what's yours." She slowly set down the feed sack. Blake noticed and smirked. "Oh, Fatty wants to play tough." He pushed her shoulder, hard enough to make dust rise. She didn't stumble. She just stared at him, steady, like the scope of a rifle locking on a target. "Leave now," she said quietly. They didn't listen. They shoved her again, calling names, circling her like vultures. Mike filmed every second, hoping to humiliate her later. Blake raised his fist as if to scare her, swinging close to her face, but not connecting. Marybeth didn't flinch. That was the last straw. When Blake pushed her chest again, she reacted, not like a clumsy farm girl, but like the soldier her uncle had forged. She pivoted her weight, grabbed his wrist, twisted, and in one sharp move brought him down to his knees. He screamed, shocked, his buddies frozen in disbelief. Marybeth released him before breaking the bone. But her eyes didn't waver. "I said leave," she repeated, her voice as cold as the steel of Uncle Tom's rifle. The boys backed away, muttering, confused by what just happened. For the first time, fear flickered in their eyes. They climbed into their truck and sped off, dust clouds rising behind them. But it wasn't over. Word spread quickly. The bullies couldn't admit they were beaten by the fat farm girl, so they twisted the story. They told others she went crazy, that she attacked them without reason, that she was dangerous. The rumors spread through the school like wildfire. Teachers looked at her differently. Students whispered louder than before. She became an even bigger target. But this time, Marybeth wasn't the same. She knew she could defend herself. She knew she was trained. And she knew if they came again, she wouldn't just warn them. She'd finish it. The second confrontation came sooner than expected. At nightfall, when the sky was streaked with orange and the barn lanterns glowed, Marybeth heard the rumble of the truck again. This time, more than 3 boys spilled out. There were 6 of them, carrying baseball bats, fueled by anger and the need to restore their pride. They climbed over the fence, laughing cruelly, stomping across her land as if it belonged to them. Marybeth stepped out of the barn, calm but ready, the training buzzing in her veins like electricity. She didn't have a rifle in hand. She didn't need it. Uncle Tom, watching from the cabin's window, tightened his jaw but didn't intervene. This was her fight now. "Get off my land," she said firmly. Blake sneered. "Or what? Gonna twist our arms again, fatty?" His words drew laughter, but shaky, nervous laughter, because deep down they remembered the pain of her grip. Marybeth didn't argue. She simply shifted her stance, feet apart, eyes unblinking. She was a wall, a storm waiting to strike. The boys rushed forward with bats raised, and in that moment the quiet farm girl vanished. The Green Beret student stepped forward. She disarmed the first swing with precision, knocking the bat aside, elbowing Trevor in the gut so hard he dropped to his knees gasping. She ducked under another swing, sweeping the legs out from Mike until he landed flat on his back, wind knocked out of him. Blake came charging bat high, and Marybeth caught it mid-swing, twisting it from his grip with the strength of years spent hauling hay bales. The wood cracked as she tossed it aside, her glare pinning him in place. "I told you," she said softly. "Don't come back." The fight ended with the boys crawling away, bruised, humiliated, their pride shattered on the dirt road. They never imagined the fat farm girl could fight like that. They never imagined she was trained by someone who had seen combat, who had turned her body into a weapon. As their truck roared away into the night, Marybeth stood in the moonlight, breath steady, hands unshaken. She wasn't just the fat farm girl anymore. She was something they would never forget. A warrior in plain sight, hidden in the body they mocked. And yet, this was only the beginning. Because humiliation burned hotter in those boys than pain. And soon they would return, not just with bats, but with something darker. Marybeth would have to dig deeper into her training, deeper into her courage, to protect her land, her animals, and her family. The farm was no longer just a place of peace. It was the battlefield they had chosen.